Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video is working on the last row of buildings on my Village Life panel, which was printed by Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios, which I'm sure you know by now because I've been playing with this piece 4 weeks now. So the last bit is all about retail. The town needs a row of shops, and as I suggested in my last video, I plan to rename these the baker, the grocer and the butcher. So at this stage I haven't fully decided, but I know one of them is going to be a lace shop and I'm still thinking about the others. So I decided I would start cutting and pinning down all of the elements so that didn't bore you guys to tears. Each shop has got a different coloured roof, and this here is a piece of elastic that I spotted and I really like the colours of. I picked it up at the sewing lair, I think it was, and I thought, well, that will make a fantastic balustrading. Now where's the panel so you can see what was underneath all this. It's taken a little bit of time to piece together the elements, but I pretty much did one piece of fabric for the whole building, and then my stitches will divide it up because I'm figuring the front facade will be painted the one colour. Then I did this side facade, then I did the roof, and then I've just come back through with just calico and did these 3 triangles. And my plan is to do something to each one of these that connects it to the business below, I think. So I thought if I go neutral, I can always lay over the top another fabric if I decide to. And then as I was hopping up to grab my iPad to film, I thought, oh, I'll definitely make a lace shop, and I went to the lace behind me looking for some curtaining because then I could just cut a new shape and lay it over that, and I found this, and this is what I was playing with before just as I was about to film. You probably noticed it sitting in shot. Like, what's the chances of making that fit for the lace shop? I'd have to manipulate it a little bit. It would have less of a scalloped edge on it as it come down under the roof line, which I think is okay. It's just not quite the right angle, but I think if I can get a few scallops and then it comes down to meet the guttering, it's going to be tight, but I think I can pull it off. It's too cute not to at least have a go. This one's the widest triangle. This one, like, my feeling is to put it in the center here. Like, have the lace shop as a bit of a feature. And I think that might work. I'm pretty sure I can pull that off. Be nice to have that pitch of lace through there. So I'll be doing something along those lines. The other idea I had was just find a piece of simple lace that doesn't require too much effort. Oh, isn't that pretty? You know, like a piece of curtaining. That's the wrong colour, but, you know, just some fine curtaining. I know I've got some. It just may not be any sitting in. Well, there's another peak. I wonder if that fits better. Fits better. Shocking English. Yeah, it's not here what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Just a standard lace curtain. Let's have a look at this triangle. Maybe it's a little bit sharper. I think it might be. It's finding that right angle. That's probably better, you know. Have a little bit of a, yeah, that's the one. I've got 3 there. Do I make 3 facades? That would be really pretty. Gosh, that's the perfect angle, isn't it? And oh yeah, that's what's going to happen. All right, and now I've got the decision, do I put the 3 facades in or not? I think so. How cute is that? Okay, all right. Decision made. Whether I do the 3, I don't know. I can't decide. All right, what I'm going to do next is just work back through. Actually, no, that's probably boring for you guys. Just going along and spot gluing in the fabric. So we'll leave it at that. I can do that off camera. That's not too exciting for you guys. So let's just slither over to this side and have a look at that. Keep that lace out, girl. Where's my container of bits and bobs for this project? All right, let's have a look at this guy. So his roof is all in one. I've been thinking about this too. Susanna has used wool and stitched it in to create a bit of a surface. So I've been thinking, what could I do? One thought I had was to do some weaving. Be very finicky, but I have thought of maybe getting some ribbon, satin ribbon, and weaving some through. So the jewelry's out on that, but let's get this roof in position. Let's go with all the easy stuff first that we can lock in. So same system as before. I just sketch the shape of the roof, and I just allow that little bit extra so that anything below it can tuck in under it. Does that make sense? So I hope you've all been well. I hope you've all had lots of time for stitching, and if you haven't, hope you can make some time for some stitching. I can't believe we're nearly through May, for goodness sakes. That's an unusual shape, isn't it? Yes, May has flown. I must say, when I look at some of these areas, I think, oh, wow, what am I going to do? You know that feeling where you feel a little bit overwhelmed by it? But when you start and break it down to little areas, it just seems to come together where, you know, I can sit and look at it for a week and go, oh my goodness, how am I going to pull that off? How am I going to pull that off? You know, all that what do they call it? Self-doubt. That's what I'm trying to say. Say that fast a couple of times. So there's our panel for the roof. Pretty confident. Yeah, and it comes down over that detailing, so then my front pieces can come up to it. Okay, so let's now trace this panel. So we'll come down. We'll just come out a little bit from that edge, come up into there. Get ourselves a little bit wider than we need to. That little bit of an overlap is highly recommended. Just thinking about my day. I really need to go and buy some groceries, but I'd rather stitch. Meanwhile, my husband starves because I'm like, oh, we'll just go tomorrow. Yep, that's good. And then that should be just sitting underneath it. Now, I need some more tracing paper. I'm using scraps now out of the bin. Once again, a little bit further than what is required. And then down here. I really think I can pull the weaving off. Make quite a nice quilted surface there. I had thought of cutting fabric and joining it together. Like, this was when I was in the shower and not looking at the size of it. I thought about making a miniature quilt. This is crazy talk. Could you imagine? Tiny itty bitty strips stitched together, then iron it out and then patchwork it. And then when I got out of the shower and looked at it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, think again. And then I was making my coffee, thinking, what could I do? What could I do? Because I really want it textured. And then it dawned on me, some satin ribbons. How wide are her little? Probably 7 mil. You wouldn't want it any bigger than 7 mil because then you'd lose the delicate nature of the roofline. So even 5 mil, and we weave them together. Be a bit of fun. So once I get these pieces sorted, now I don't have any satin ribbon that suits. Am I going to be able to get a roof out of that? Oh, not quite. Maybe I can. And just like I'm being scrappy now, aren't I? So that's the side of the house, so that has to be spot on. That can overlap. That overlaps. And that's the bottom, which also overlaps. So I think we can fake that little template a little bit without having to go get another piece of greaseproof paper. As long as we get the basic shape, we can, yeah. Okay. All right, so we've got our little templates. Now comes the fun bit. We get to pick what we're going to do in here. I really like that church fabric, but do we want to see that again directly below? I think not, but I like the paleness of it. What else have we got here? What else is pale? And I used a calico over here, which is super, super boring. What have we got? I introduced a flower here, which sort of broke the rules of the game a little bit. Oh, I got a shower of rain. Maybe we could use that for the roof. I sort of feel like we can mix it up a little bit. But I can't decide. What would that look like as a roof? I love the colour, that blue. Okay, let's cut out a roof. The other piece we're missing is the side of the building over here as well. So we mustn't forget that. Where's my pins? So as you trace it is as you place it onto the fabric too. So the right side of the transfer, the right side of the fabric is all coming together so that the bottom of the transfer is facing the right side of the fabric. Does that make sense? You want your piece, don't flip them. Don't flip them over because you'll find your piece just won't fit. So be careful with that. I know it's not a check, but I feel like we can be a bit more whimsical with the stripper shops. If we don't like it, we can just swap it out for another piece, hey? It doesn't look right, but I think that little piece of flower there works. And it's all tonally correct. It's not like we're bringing in a whole new... Actually blends really, really well. It was part of that fabric range, so don't think I'm a genius in putting together these fabrics. I went back to buy more of that floral that I'm cutting out the flowers and realised there was a whole range. So I was like, ooh, better get a bit of that. Okay. So there's our little element. It's a bit of an odd shape, but it does work. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Don't you just love navy blue? Oh, just love it. Yep. That's good. Okay, so I won't pin it yet. Let's just fiddle a little bit more. So what if we do that on the inside of the... Thinking. I know it's the same as the church, but I don't know, I just really love the colour. And this is the one where we were a bit miserly with our fabric, so I've got to guess where we're cutting. But being a little check, I can figure this out and get our lines right. I've thoroughly enjoyed playing with this piece. Makes a change. And it's, you know, that collaging. I really enjoy piecing fabrics like this. Okay, so how far are we out? That's pretty good. Now we just got to get a pin and lift the roof up so that it hangs over. There we go. I think that could be cut down a bit, but maybe I've just got my angle a little wrong. Yeah, that's probably better. But I think I can trim. We will put lace down that side, because I think once I trim this, the guttering is going to be showing. See there? But that's okay, because I'll put a guttering on, and I want it to, if I go and weave that awning, we'll call it an awning, I want to know that this fabric is under the woven bit. Does that make sense? That looks good up there. That looks good there. So I'm going to pin that. So as for the stitching, I'll do as I did above, just lay down a thread. It's usually this one. It's a crocheting cotton. And then with normal sewing machine thread, I couch over it. In some places I've done a running stitch, like the little church. Do we do the same? See, if we'd done the same colour, I could have done one piece, but we haven't. So that gives me the opportunity to bring in a different fabric, but it'd have to be similar in tone. Well, it doesn't have to be, I guess. But those windows, I'm going to do them all out in white thread and then heaps of French knots for the little flowers, and then there'll be a piece of fabric across the front of the pot. I'm thinking I should have done this all in one piece, guys, because I'm wondering what would be my next colour. Let me just cut this guy out. This is a piece of old sheeting, so I'm not feeling precious about the fabric. No, it needs to be one piece, I think. But I suppose a shop would paint its facades, wouldn't it? All right, keep going. If we don't like it, we just choose something else, hey? Real simple. I could probably repeat the check again. On the outside. That might be how we break the line of eye up. I know this will stitch up well, but I had a bit of a moment after I placed that big panel down that it was just going to be too much and not look right. So I was very hesitant about, you know, maybe making them individual houses. But I think we're okay, guys. As Sonia would say, nobody panic. So let's slide this little guy in. And in, and then drop the roof down. Over it. Okay, so that's that little fellow in position. A couple pins to hold it. The roof is still sitting straight at the top. Got a piece of tatting kicking around here too that I've wanted to use on it. My phone's buzzing. I just still don't know if this is even going to be too big, you know, for the top of the building, but it might be too big. We'll see. It's in my, oh, that'd be nice jar. So I guess the question is, do we go this again, or do I find another fabric? Let's just have one roustabout to see. Oh, there's that lemony coloured one. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, I like that one, I think. That's not bad. Don't mind that. I have a feeling I probably prefer that to peek in over here. I'm going to use this one because I want the flowers to pop. So I think I'll go the lighter, the lighter fabric, and then I can play with the flowers and not be too worried about the colour that's below them. Of course they'll be blue. the lady that runs this town, the rich benefactor, she's not going to want anything other than blue flowers in those little flower pots. She's controlling everything. She's, you know, back in the day when there was a manor house and it had the rich family and they pretty much had massive parcels of land. I'm thinking England here. Massive parcels of land. They pretty much paid everyone's wages, but everyone worked for the common collective of the manor house. So they were often on tenancies, leases, and they would farm for the main house. And then as times changed and people got more and more educated, well, a lot of that all fell away because everyone was like, well, I don't want to work for the old girl up on the hill. I want to work for ourselves. And that was sort of the end of all of that era. The Industrial Revolution really changed things too. Once they started inventing machinery to assist farmers, it was sort of the end of it, wasn't it? Suddenly workers weren't needed as much in the mills, and yeah, the good old Industrial Revolution changed things a lot. So I like that. We've got 3 little colour palettes, and those colours will drift down into here as well. So I'll just drag another piece into here. Now I do want to get that side panel. I might make that dead on because I've got the lemon coming over anyway. Just checking my line. I'm going to trim a little bit off of there. It is fiddly, but it's good. Fiddly in a good way. Let's cut this guy out next. I think if I had have done one colour through here, I would have felt a little bit bored, like I do when I look at that. But I so love that colour, and I want the eaves to be whimsical. So we need something down this outer edge. We need that dark blue. Where's that? You know, that little strip. Where are you? It's from my quilting days. It was a binding on something. Is that it? Got sidetracked there for a second. No, it's a real dark marble fabric. Here it is. This is really good for around the corner and down the back. Gosh, this is going to be fiddly to cut, isn't it? Pin. So if you're just finding this video for the very first time, you're wondering how the heck is she going to know where to embroider? Oh, this is fiddly. I will, so you could use an iron-on webbing, what do they call it? You iron it on and it sticks to the back of the fabric, and then you peel off the paper, you iron it on to your main piece, and it sits beautifully in position. I haven't gone down that track because I find it hard to push the needle through, and the amount of embroidery I do, I just can't afford to put pressure on my joints and fingers. Otherwise, I'm not going to make it to 110 doing embroidery. So, and I was happy for that scruffy edged feel to my piece. I've embraced fraying. But back in my quilting days when I was doing needle turn applique onto quilt surfaces, I would have used stabilizing products to, you know, get everything sitting beautifully. But no, thank goodness for the slow stitch movement. It's taken a lot of pressure to perform off, hasn't it? You can do what you want. So I'm going to slide that into there. I think that will fit just perfectly. And there. It's fiddly little elements like this. I might get my glue. So there's the, that looks too big. Yeah, it is. I need to, it looks too forward. I need to thin that down. Gosh, we're getting fiddly now. I think I'll take it off this edge because I like that top angle, looks pretty darn good. We just need a slither of that side wall. It was jumping out at me. Yeah, just a little bit. That's better. It's not as bold. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to glue that little guy into position. So as you know, I'm a art glitter glue person. You can use glue stick, you can use, and it's just to tack it down. It's not going to hold it without stitch. You sort of need to come back through with your embroidery to really hold it. That's, you know, why we're here. But it does eliminate the use of pins. And it's just that little bit extra support for these little pieces of fabric that can fray. Just stabilizes everything. Now I'm going to run a little bit down there, a little bit there. Just take your time and just get everything into position. The art glitter glue comes with this little nib, so it really helps me control where the glue slides in. It always looks so plain at this stage, doesn't it? Until you get all of that embroidery and lace and trim and, oh, then it just comes alive. It always astounds me. I'm going to pull that guy out, and I'm going to pull that guy out. I'm going to just put a little bit under there, a little bit there, and just slide that into position. There we go. Come down here. There. Fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So, what's that green doing? We don't want green. Let me just reposition myself, guys. I want to get back over to this side. I'm going to need some more of this tracing paper, or greaseproof paper. Baking paper is another name we call it here in Australia. I want to get some more to carry on down here. But in the meantime, I'm going to just come over here because I'm really happy with all of this. So I'm going to secure it down. With a little bit of the glue. Finally, we've got a signature here for Suzanne. I'm going to try my darnest not to cover it. I might have to get her to re-sign the piece. I've covered it all. So just a case of work my way around all of these little elements and then just let the piece sit for a bit. If you go and pick it up and start embroidering, you run the risk of moving things and it not adhering. Like, it's pretty quick to glue down. Don't get me wrong, it's very fast. I won't be stitching straight away. I think I've got to do some chores today. So I may not even get to this till tomorrow. Which will be good. There's a lot of elements into this panel for this section. So it goes down pretty easy. Once you work out your layers, what part of the roof sits over what, you've got to be an architect to pull this off, you know, or a builder. I might leave this edge. Yeah, I'm going to leave that edge. Did I glue that one? Just going to loosen that off, just in case I want to put another fabric through there, because remember, it's just calico that is better suited to the building that is being used, like a lace shop, button shop. I think I'll just give myself just take it to that edge a little so I can tuck something under there if I decide to embellish a little bit more with a specific fabric that suits. Got nothing really in mind, but the lace, the embroidery. Now we were going to put that crochet edge, weren't we? Look, I can always come back and glue it down if I need to. I'll just give myself options. And like I said, I'm not going to get to stitch this till probably tomorrow. So I don't need to make any decisions. But let's leave that as an option to slide in under that roof line, because that roof's got to sit over the top of the, is that a facade in there? I don't know. Okay. That's pretty good. That can be glued onto there. That's open. That's open. That's open. That's secure. And there we go. So that's all my pins out. Now let's come down here and look at these fabrics. I wonder if I can cut them out without needing a template. Risky. I think I can. Like, they're squares. Like, how hard could it be? Just straight line cutting, girl. Getting a bit cocky now, aren't I? As long as that tucks under, that's all good. I can just make out the bottom of the house. We want it overlapping. Could probably even do that. go. There's the bottom of that little guy. Just pin him. Okay, so far so good. Where is, what do I do with that fabric? Gosh, I've got a mess here. Oh, I flung it a good metre away. Oh my goodness. Let's have a look at this. It's an unusual colour. It's a real flesh tone colour. It's got that peach, beigey, peachy way about it. So let's get our widths first. Get rid of the excess. I think it was pillow slip. Now we might make that right on the line. No, we're going to make this guy. So you could see how technically if I had done a piece that went straight through, would be a lot neater. But I'm okay with this. There's different ways you can approach pieces like this. So there's our overlap and there's our base. There we go. I probably wouldn't attempt this if I had a triangular angles. It'd probably be easily jiggered up, where I feel like we can, this should be pretty easy because it's got checks and stripes on it. So if we can't get a straight line trim on this, yep, and that is that there. There we go. So a complete piece would have been a damn sight easier. So for those of you who are doing this panel, I'd probably do that. I've probably made more work than I needed, but that's all good. Would give you the chance to change the bottom of the building to the top of the building. It's something to consider, I guess. I'll just trim that up to that line. Might as well take advantage of the fact that we've got lines. And that one will go there. It's just a matter of getting them all in alignment. I think, is that's spot on? It could come off a little bit. Don't trim it, just move this along. There we go, it's better. Gosh, you could fiddle and fiddle with this. Just take that little nip off there. Yeah, I'm thinking a blue and cream ribbon panel here. Whether I get a piece of fabric and weave it on there and create a component that then goes on, possibly. Don't know. I have to percolate a little more on that, guys. I don't need to pin that. We can go straight to. We can go straight to just getting this all glued down. So if you've got the one panel, of course, you would need to have taken a photo. Hang on. Something's not right here. We're going to have that under there to line up with there. Whew, that was close. Yeah, if you, I might just trim that back just a fraction. It doesn't need to be you could take a photo of your panel so you know where all your lines are and then just redraw them in. Or if your fabric is thin enough, like this is, you've sort of got a bit of an idea anyway. I can see where everything is, so I'm not too concerned. And if it's slightly different, it doesn't matter. Susanna will not be feeling all precious over the fact that you adjusted the design to suit your ideas. Well, look at Tia's. It's a gingerbread village. So talk about going that extra design element. Very clever. There's a link below to Tia's videos where she turns her panel into the gingerbread village. I feel like that's sticking out there a little. Oh, it's all right, don't worry about it. The roof will come out there. That'll fix that angle. Okay, so everything is secure. I might just take a bit of excess. Don't need it. I'm fiddling now. Don't need to fiddle. I just want to see my roof a little more. Oh, doorbell. It's all good. Hubby will grab that. Hopefully. Let me just turn the volume off on my phone. Okay. I'm happy with that. All right, let's get the stick in the glue. Now, the next thing is to start drawing in all of the detail that we're missing now on the houses themselves. So, where's the tea towel? The spare. What do I do with it? What do I do with it? Oh my goodness, guys, you should see the desk in front of me. It's gloriously messy. Okay, here we go. So we've got, let's get these pins out of the way. Come on, girl, just finish one task at a time. All right, so we've got these little bay windows. So we're going to draw them in. So we've got an angle. Now I can see the design on two of them underneath. So I'm going to use my ruler to get some lines across. It's that real Tudor style window bay, isn't it? Then there's the downward line. I feel like I'm back at high school where you learn the basics of technical drawing. And you find out if there's any kids in your class that are blooming talented and are going to end up with a career in architecture. I'm just going to get this line in. This is where that awning is. Just so I know my boundary across the bottom there. Yep. Now, there's a window box. Oh, let's get our window box in. What are we going to use for that? I'm thinking a fabric, maybe a dark colour. Excuse me. Maybe this guy. Is that enough for the blue embroidery to pop on? Because it'll be lots of blue and white French knots. Yeah, I think so. Let's cut some window boxes. So we'll have it go past the window a little bit. Gosh, you gotta love checker fabrics. It might be too deep, but I want it to be quite a statement. Yeah, I like that. So we need another 2. And then we can put our flowers in there. Might even pull the ribbon, the really narrow ribbon out, and do some bigger flowers in amongst it. Oh, I don't know. So that's that one. That's that one. Does that look right? Looks too big. Gonna take a little bit off of that. Generous window boxes, and let's cook it at the bottom. Goodness sakes. There we go. And then we need one for this side. How are we going for time? Oh my goodness. No, I'm not ready yet. Oh, tell you. Get to spend hours fiddling with this stuff, can't you? Got to remember to hop up and go for a walk every so often. Otherwise, you sit down and you look at the clock and it's like 2 or 3 hours later and you're like, oh, no wonder my shoulders feel quite tense. This window is slightly bigger. I'm noticing it due to how much of the window box is actually hanging over. So I think that was a good move doing that first. Where's my pins gone? Oh boy, there they are. See how there's a couple stripes either side? So that tells me that this window frame here is probably a little bit big. I'm probably, not overthinking it, but I would say that I could bring his lines just back a smidgen. Or, as I like to frame out my windows, maybe that's closer, but then these get a bit of a, I might have to come out there. Maybe that's to get them right. So that one comes out. So I double stitch them. It just helps it look like there's a piece of timber around the window, and then the glass or the ironwork is a different thread. Get some lines happening, girls. Stop being freehand. So that's the middle, but it's slightly before it. The checkers make it easy, don't they? The other thing I guess I've got to have a think about here before I get too carried away is putting a piece of fabric in there. Didn't think of that. You know what I mean? And then this goes up at an angle. Yeah, I think I've put the horse before the cart here, guys. I bet you guys were saying, Corrine, don't you want an internal view into that house? So what I mean is all of my windows, I've cut an additional piece of fabric out just so that it looks like you're looking into the house, and I haven't done it here. So I need to stop and do that. So I will need to find, and I'll probably use some of this. Hang on. I need a scrappy bit. That's a big piece. Ow. Just something. That's an interesting fabric. So I've got that might do the trick. So I would cut out a little piece to be the inside of the window. So I'm going to stop at that stage because I've got to do a little bit more work on that. Yeah. Otherwise it won't match what's happening above. And that will be the same for that window, the door. So, yeah. So I will need to go and get myself some more tracing paper and then trace out some more pieces. So by drawing it in for yourself, you've now got your piece you need to cut like that. So once you redraw, and that can tuck in behind the window box, once you redraw all of your sketches, so it's like getting Susanna's design back up on top again, you then start again. You start tracing out all of your little elements and put your next layer on. So that will go there. Let's say that's a piece of fabric. And then the little window box will go in like so. I might even cut the window box down a little bit. So where is some fabric? How are we going for time? We've got 2 minutes. We can do all windows and all doors in 2 minutes, can't we? Oh, there's a bit of green. I think we need a green door. I like that. Keep that out, girl. There's a bit of white. Might be a bit too stark, but it might work over here. So I'm just going through my neutral bucket. That's slightly different to that. Might be useful. Sort of think, yeah, I need something like this. That Hessian-y old world linen look. This is what we're going to use. Straight out of France. Bit of that fabric will just do nicely. My windows have probably got a damn sight bigger than they need to by now, but that's okay because I can always then stitch inside them again. And I think that's going to be my little template, to be honest. Just get my angles right. That's a bit better. So I'll just drop that on there. Let's not overthink this. I can always trim it down a little if we think it's too big, but I don't think so. I think I will stitch on the inside of that so it becomes the timber I was talking about around the perimeter of the window. Yep. Yep. There you go, decision made. Told you we'd get our windows in pretty lickety split. I'll use this fabric as well for down here. on the big window on that one shop front. Yeah, that's just lifted. That's just lifted that. Might just stab it in, because I'm going to come back with glue anywhere. I'm not going to move this piece. Let's cut it. We got another one? We've got one already. Okay. Just slide that into position. So now we draw the windows again. And then that's our stitching. Does that make sense? You guys know what you're doing. That's better. Now, if I decide that they need to be trimmed down a little bit, I can. If we want to pinch it in a little bit more, I suspect not. The only thing it might bash into is this guttering system through here. So maybe they need to just pull in a little bit in width. But gee, it's not much. Sometimes it's just the slither off gives you that little bit of air between two pieces that makes all the difference to the eye, to know that, yeah, okay, you're no longer looking at a wall, you're now looking at a window. And remember that my French knots for all of the little flowers, so I'm just going to pull that guy in a bit too, will ooze out over those planter boxes. Gosh, if I could find a trim that could go on the planter boxes, that'd be pretty cute too. Oh, the trims are the best bit. Just needs that smidgen off. Now this stuff frays pretty easy because it's such a coarse fabric. So I'll definitely need to put glue around those edges. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think we've got the planter boxes. How are we going for time? Oh, of course we've gone over. Does this piece fit here? Where's... I think it does, you know. Here we go. One window bay. One big window. There we go. You are pinned there. The only thing we need to check is the door. It's quite a narrow door. Let's have a look at the original to see the distances. Okay, so it is a pretty big window, but you know what? I'm going to take a little bit off of it. It's the beauty of these wool ironing mats. You can pin straight into it like I'm doing here, like you've got a specimen, an insect specimen, just to hold it. Let's have a green door. How big is that door? I can see it there, but being a lucky girl that I am, I have two. I'm just going to use this to cut myself a door. And at the end of the day, a door can be any size really. It doesn't have to be. That is a big window. And remember there's a little sign there that says cafe as well. Just trimming it up because it's a bit wonky, probably overthinking it. The door comes right down to the, gee, that's a big window. I think my height of my window is not right. I'm just going to pinch it off because remember there's that you know the other thing, I'm going to put a planter box on this guy as well. Gosh, you're going to be here for 2 hours, so I've gone 5 minutes over. Quick little planter box. Just a quick one. Keep cutting away at areas that, is that big enough? Not really, but we'll come down a little bit because I can see little flowers there as well. It's a cafe. It would have a plant box there, I think, to add to the ambiance. So what I'll do is I'll keep fiddling with this and get my fabric on. I don't know if I'll do another video. We'll be here forever. Gosh, this will be a 22-part series. Come on. I might just need to take a little bit out of the size of that. By the time I do a stitch down there, a stitch around the door, I think my window needs to be a little bit more narrow. Let's be brutal. No use cramping ourselves up and in the process losing the design element. And the window's got to be close to that awning. Gosh, there's some light streaming into this little cafe. That's better. Window box now looks right. Just needs a little trim this side. Gosh, you could fiddle with this. Door looks right. And I've got room for my cafe sign. I think these window boxes need to be cut down. I really need to go. I think they can be a little more petite. That needs to be adjusted. So there you go. I will say goodbye. I'll finish fiddling with the rest of my structures and then I think I'll be confident that I can sit and stitch. Can I do that window box by eye? Ooh, getting risky now. There we go. All right, guys. I better go. I'll just trim this window box. 8 minutes, for goodness sakes. I need more time. There's so much to do. Yeah, that's better. The window boxes were just that little bit too solid looking. I think that's better. Okay, we'll leave it at that. I think it'll really pop when I start using all this to, you know, define our edges of our buildings and then go looking for some trims and laces that then embellish. That's sort of the final stage. But yeah, nah, we're doing well. Okay, guys, I'll see you around. Have a lovely day and see you in the next video. Bye.